Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Diego with my beautiful wife, Karina, from. Where's she from? Venezuela. Brownie RSPS is first up to bat. The first up to bat, Brownie. So you get, let me see here. I'll give you a Mountain Dew salute for being the first up to bat, but I can't drink Mountain Dew. I've been banned. My doctor told me no Mountain Dew, no Coca Cola, no. It sucks, but that's okay. It's all good. So I got water, 2% milk, tea, coffee, and that's about it. But that's all right. This is your K1 Green Card channel. It's August 30th, 2025, and it's time for another exciting, fun-filled, packed adventure live from the YouTube studio here in Florida, all around the world, where I answer your questions regarding K1 visas and green cards. So you don't have to pay an immigration attorney for the same benefit. You can get the information right here. Now, I'm not an immigration attorney. I don't give you any legal advice. I don't work for USCIS, but I got 12 years experience processing green cards, K1 visas, spousal visas, helping people become citizens of this great republic, the United States of America. If you want to become a U.S. citizen, that's what I highly recommend. If you want to avoid all of these immigration headaches, become a citizen. Okay? This is to the beneficiaries. You got to just get all this paperwork out of the way. When you get to the 3-year mark on your green card, you get your 2-year green card, then you apply for your 10-year green card, and then you apply for U.S. citizenship after 3 years of living in the United States, being married to a U.S. citizen. Go to the fill out form N400, but you got to stay out of trouble. You got to file taxes. Okay? If you don't file your taxes, if you don't register for selective service, if you are aged between 18 and 25, and you came into this country on a K1 or a K2, and you are male, you have to register for selective service. If you do not, you will not be able to apply for U.S. citizenship until you have accumulated 3 years or 5 years of, whatever it is you got to stay out of trouble. Get a DUI while driving, you're not gonna get a green card. They won't renew it. They'll kick you out of the country. Stay out of trouble, guys. Good evening, Diego, says Brownie. Now, Brownie RSPS is from the United Kingdom, right? You were from England, and you relocated to Missouri in the United States. And hopefully you like Missouri. It's going to be September. The leaves are going to start turning a different color up there in Missouri, and the weather's going to change, and it's going to, hopefully you know how to drive in snow. Me personally, I had to learn how to drive in snow when I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I didn't like that very much. I didn't care for driving in snow or on icy roads. Brownie RSPS, Missouri is nice right now. We just got a cold blast from Canada. So autumn has come early. So the Canadian Air was allowed into the United States without a visa. How did Canadian Air get into the United States? Did they have a visa? Did the air have a visa? I'm kidding. We love our friends up in Canada watching us, and one day maybe Canada will become part of the United States, become the 51st state. Can you imagine if Canada became the 51st state? So if you're dating a Canadian, you wouldn't even have to worry about immigration processing anymore, because Canada would become part of America. Imagine if Greenland became the 52nd state. It could happen, right? Why not? Think of the benefits of the Canadians would get if they became Americans. There's a line that draws across between the United States and Canada, and there's border patrol, there's checkpoints. Imagine if you got rid of that line and the Canada became the United States. Brownie RSPS, yeah, it's pretty nice. On September 4th, it will be around 65 degrees. Well, right now here in Florida, it's 83 degrees. And that sounds like some pretty nice weather. When I lived in Bogota, Colombia for almost 3 years with Karina, the weather never changed hardly, except for the freaking rain, okay? It was always 65 to 70 degrees all year round. It never changed because of the location. Bogota is close to the equator, so they didn't have any seasons. They didn't have a summer. They didn't have a winter. They just had good weather or crappy weather. That's how it works in Colombia. So that's great. Brownie RSPS, I do miss rain now that you mention it. It's a stark difference here from the UK weather. Well, I went to England in July of 1996 for vacation, and it was July. And I figured if we go in July, right, it's going to be nice weather. No, it rained every day. Every day I was there, it rained. I was carrying an umbrella around. I explored England. I went around. I visited London. I traveled. I went to the Madame Tussauds. I went to the Tower of London. I checked out the crown jewels. But it rained. Every day. But I did enjoy the fish and chips and the pickled onion. Pixie dust for your wife's interview, Dwayne Bickelman. Dwayne Bickelman, September 10th is around the corner for my wife's scary interview. So Brownie is requesting pixie dust for Dwayne Bickelman. So here we go. MAGA pixie dust for Dwayne Bickelman and his wife's interview. This is the green card K1 Visa Super Lucky 2025 MAGA pixie dust. There you go. And a Mountain Dew salute to Dwayne Bickelman for making it this far in the green card process. Now listen, Dwayne, when your wife goes to the interview, you got to dress business casual. Don't be wearing jeans and a t-shirt to a green card interview. All right? Business casual. Don't panic. Don't sweat it. Don't be nervous. Go in there and you'll get through it. Okay? Now, if you submit a 10-year green card application in the future, which I know you're going to do that, hopefully you don't have to go to another green card interview. Keep collecting the evidence for your 10-year green card. You got to keep collecting the evidence. It doesn't go away. This process doesn't end until you become a U.S. citizen. Okay? You got to keep on collecting the evidence for the 2-year green card, the 10-year green card, and then then you got to renew your 10-year green card. If you don't become a U.S. citizen in 10 years from now, well, in 10 years from the issue date, you got to renew your 10-year green card with Form I-90. But my recommendation is if you are watching this and you have a 10-year green card, you want to renew your green card 6 months before it expires. Get in the game early, because there's it's just a long waiting list now for all this processing. To get around all these waiting, just become a citizen. Now, Brownie RSPS is from England, so his English is good, obviously, right? So it shouldn't be a problem for Brownie to become a U.S. citizen in 3 years. You just got to learn about the history of the United States, learn about the Constitution, learn about how our government works, etc. Dwayne Bickelman definitely will keep collecting evidence even after the interview, right? Karina's got a stack of evidence like this for her 10-year green card application. In March of 2026, we're going to apply for her 10-year green card. But it's like the 2 years went by so quickly. Before you know it, Karina's going to be here 2 years, and we're going to be getting her 10-year green card in the mail. So, Brownie RSPS, I've already taken about 20 to 30 mock tests, so I have it on top of my head for the time being, even though it's over 3 years away. Look, Brownie, even though it's 3 years away, start preparing now to become a citizen of this great republic. Okay, remember, the United States of America is not a democracy. Okay, our founding fathers, James Madison, said the United States is a republic. So what's the difference between a republic and a democracy? This is for maybe a question at the U.S. citizenship interview. A republic is congressional representation. In congressional representation, okay, no matter who wins the election, whether the Republicans win or the Democrats win, the Democrats win, the Republicans still have representation. If the Republicans win, the Democrats still have representation. So no matter who wins the election, whoever's sitting in the White House, whoever controls the Congress or the Senate, The party that didn't win still has representation. That's a republic. Colombia is a republic. In a democracy, winner takes all in an election. Venezuela is a democracy, not a republic. So when Maduro fraudulently won the election in Venezuela, it was a massive fraud. He now controls the whole country, and the citizens, the minority people, that the groups that didn't win, they have no representation. In fact, they're getting thrown in jail if they oppose Maduro. In a democracy, okay, if we were a democracy, California and New York would be controlling the United States right now, because that's where the popular vote would be. But Trump won the popular vote. He won the electoral vote. So you got to learn the difference between a republic and a democracy. The United States is a republic, a constitutional republic, even though Democrats like to call this country a democracy. It's not. And when I hear Republicans calling us a democracy, they're just uneducated. Let me see. Brownie RSPS, just waiting for USCIS to get back to me. Last update was 12 days ago. You're good. When they received your RFE, right? At least 45 days to go, I guess. About 45, 50 days. I'm just waiting to get to work. Well, you will. You'll get to work. You're going to get a fine. You're going to be fine. You speak English, which is a benefit. You get to work. You start making some money, and everything's going to be rocking and rolling. But at the top of your head, everybody who watches this right now, live or in the future in a rerun, if you're coming to this country and you're marrying an American, focus on learning English if you don't know how to speak English, and become a citizen. Once you become a citizen, your life is going to be so much easier. And you can vote if you want. You can run for political office. If you want to run for political office, you can do that once you become a U.S. citizen. Okay? So, Brownie says, it's just so weird being here and people ask what do I do for work? And I'm like, I'm not allowed to yet. Well, what I would say is that you are just waiting on your authorization to start work, because you are here as a green card applicant. You're just waiting for permission. That's all. It's no big deal. Just enjoy the vacation. While you're not working, study up on the Constitution, on the Declaration of Independence. Study up on our presidents, George Washington, Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson. Study up on the history of this country. The Emancipation Proclamation, which was signed, I believe it was January 1st, 1865, 1863, I can't remember. But learn about our history. What is the First Amendment to the Constitution? What does it mean to you? What does the First Amendment mean to you? What's the Second Amendment? What is the Second Amendment? What's the Fifth Amendment? What's the Fourth Amendment? You learn these things. You may get asked on the U.S. citizenship test, who's the father of our country? George Washington. Who was the second president of the United States? Learn everything you can while you have this time, because when you get to work, your time is going to be limited. When you start work, you get your green card, you go to work, your time is going to be limited on things that you can do in regards to preparing for U.S. citizenship, depending on what kind of job you get. But you can find a job, no problem. And especially that you can speak English. That's a huge benefit to you right there, right? So it's no problem. I got Karina, she's in school learning English, and she's doing great. She already got her promotion at work, and her boss today told me that Karina's English is getting better and better and better. So if you come to this country and you don't speak a lick of English, don't panic. Don't be scared. Learn English. I went to Colombia and lived in Colombia with Karina for almost 3 years. I had to learn Spanish when I was in Colombia. I had no choice. I rented an apartment. We had to pay the gas bill, the electric bill. Everything's in Spanish. My landlord, Mr. Fernando, he said, Diego, you're living in Colombia. Yeah. You bet you speak Spanish here, right? Yeah. You got no choice, Diego, because in Colombia we speak Spanish. It's the language of the country. I said, yeah, I'm learning Spanish. He said, very good. And every day I'd see my landlord. He'd throw me the Bogota newspaper, and I'd sit down and read it and learn Spanish by just reading the newspaper, watching videos on TV. If you want to learn English, watch movies in English. That's the best way to learn it, besides speaking it and or go to class, take some classes. You can take some online classes too and learn how to speak English. The thing that you got to remember is when you apply for your green card, you cannot make any mistakes on the paperwork now. There is a zero tolerance for mistakes when you file for your green card, whether it's a 2-year or a 10-year. If you make a mistake on the paperwork, your green card is going to be denied and sent back to you. So make sure you go over the paperwork very carefully before you submit it to immigration. In October, I think it's the 25th or the 28th, somewhere in the 25th of October, I believe it is, you're going to have to pay for your green card applications and your spousal visas and lifting the conditions off of your visa and off of your green. Everything has to be paid on a new form that immigration just came out with. I made a video on what the form is. I recommend that you go into uscis.gov/forms, download that form, and stick it on top of your evidence that you're collecting for your 2-year and your 10-year green card application. Because starting in October 25th, I believe it is, that's the only way you're going to be able to pay for your green card application or your spousal visa, or to lift the conditions off your 2-year green card. Immigration is not going to accept paper checks or money orders after October 25th. That's gone away. It's history. You heard it here first. I don't see any immigration attorneys anywhere putting out videos explaining about this new change with immigration. Nowhere on the YouTube do I see that. I was the first person to do that. Okay, so lucky for you guys, you're able to learn from this channel, which is the whole purpose of this live stream, to teach you new things. So what you learn today is you cannot make any mistakes when you file for your 2-year or 10-year green card or your spousal visa. Zero tolerance for errors, none. Zero tolerance. USCIS Form I-864, the affidavit of support. That's what the sponsor fills out when you apply for the 2-year green card. You got to get the family size right. You got to get your paperwork correctly filled out so immigration can read it. Don't forget to put commas after the income amounts. If you make $106,200 a year, you put 106 comma, and then you don't miss the commas on the income. If you make $106,000 a year and you put down 106,000, immigration might think that's $10,600. Put the commas after the numbers when you fill out the 864. If you make $30,400 a year, you put 30, comma, and the 400. Don't make these stupid mistakes. Brownie RSPS G1650 for new applicants in October. Yeah, I feel lucky that I didn't have to fill that out. That's correct. Starting October 25th, when you pay for a 2-year green card application or a 10-year green card application or a spousal visa or for U.S. citizenship application, you have to use Form G1650. You're going to put on that form, you're going to fill out the information, but it's very important that you get the correct routing number for your bank in the United States and the correct checking account number. So you're going to put the routing number on this piece of paper and your checking account number. Then you're going to sign your full name, first name, middle name, last name. And then immigration, when they receive, and then you're going to put, let's suppose you're lifting the conditions off of a 2-year green card. Let's suppose you're applying for your 10-year green card. You're going to fill out G1650. You're going to put your routing number and your checking account number at the bottom of the page. You're going to sign it, and then you're going to write $750 in the amount section. Make sure you put the correct amount in the amount section. If you mess up the amount, if you don't know how much it costs and you guess some stupid number, your whole green card application is going to be denied. It's going to be sent back, denied. That's how important it is not to forget to fill out the G1650 correctly, plus all the other paperwork you have to include. When you file for your 2-year green card and your 10-year green card, put in there Form G1145. That's where you put your email address and cell phone number. Brownie RSPS, so G1650 with the 751, right? That's exactly 100% correct. So when you apply for your 10-year green card, you're gonna have the first form you're gonna have is G1145. That's so that immigration can contact you when they receive your paperwork. Then you're gonna have Form G1650. Okay, that's the form you're going to fill out so immigration can get payment for the service or the benefit that you're applying for. For 751, it's $750 as of August 30th, 2025. That can change in the future. So if you watch this video in 6 months from now, make sure you check the right price for what the benefit is you're applying for. Make sure you use the correct form, the correct edition date. You know, some people, they go online and they click on their how to process a K1 visa. And then Google comes up with all these, websites, and you click on the website and it says, click on here to download the forms for a K1 visa. And you click on there and download the forms for the K1 visa, but the form's been expired for 2 years. Because when that website was written, the website was written 2 years ago or 4 years ago, and they're using an expired form. But people don't pay attention. So they go in there, they Google how to process a K1 visa. The website comes up and it says, okay, if you want the I-129F, click here. You click here, and then they print the I-129F, and the form's 2 years old. It's no good. So you fill it all out, you send in your K1 visa application, comes back denied because you filled out the wrong form. You got to go to uscis.gov/forms to get the correct form. I'll write it here, uscis.gov/forms. You got to go to this website to find the correct edition for whatever it is, whatever benefit it is you're applying for. Make a note of that, Brownie. That's correct. I'm sure it will go up every year with this administration to make it harder. It's not because the price is going up isn't because the administration is trying to make it harder for you to become a citizen or to become a green card holder. Okay? It's the cost of doing business. Somebody has to pay these people that adjudicate your green cards and your K1 visas. They don't work for free. They don't work for free. And the U.S. the taxpayers of America are not going to be paying for it. You know, my tax dollars are not going to pay for my next door neighbor's green card application. My next door neighbor is going to pay for his green card application. I'm going to pay for Karina's green card application, not my friend down the road. So they have to charge fees. Okay? And you got to remember, when you submit an application for a green card or a K1 visa, or work permit, etc., if you make any stupid mistakes, they'll keep the money and you lose the benefit. So it's important not to mess it up. Right now, immigration is working off of a zero tolerance, zero error time frame. So what that means is the process is speeding up for you guys who know how to fill out the paperwork correctly. You know how to do this properly. What's happening is your cases are getting adjudicated quicker. But the people that get lazy or they don't take the time to study the process, those are the folks that are getting denied and everything's being sent back to them. You cannot make mistakes, okay? And you don't want to be traveling when you have a 2-year green card either. When you get your 2-year green card, don't be leaving America. Stay in the United States. Wait till you get your 10-year green card if you want to go see grandma. You may want to go visit your friends and your family overseas. That's understandable. But you got to understand, if you do that on a 2-year green card, okay, the Border Patrol and Customs and Border Patrol, they don't have to let you back in the country. They say, no, you've abandoned your green card. There's nothing you can do about it. Well, I was only gone for 3 months. Okay, you're gone for 3 months. You see, you go back home. You've abandoned your green card. If you travel when you get your 10-year green card, make sure you travel with evidence of your ties to America. So if you're going to go on vacation, the Philippines, everything's fine. If you want to go back to England and visit family in England, when you travel on a 10-year green card, bring with you your marriage certificate, your last tax return that shows you filed a joint tax return, your U.S. driver's license, photos with your family, bills that show that you're sharing the responsibility of paying bills. Travel with all this stuff in your little suitcase, in your hand baggage. Don't check it as luggage. You carry it in your hand luggage. So that way, when you come back to the United States after your 2-week vacation or 3-week vacation, if you get pulled aside for secondary screening, and the immigration officer, the Border Patrol officer says, you got to prove your ties to America. Well, here's my marriage certificate. Here's my driver's license. Here's my last tax return. Here's my electric bill, my water bill that I paid 2 months ago. And then the immigration officer is going to say, welcome back home to America and enjoy and come on, continue your travels. You see what I'm saying? Brownie RSPS, I wouldn't expect the U.S. taxpayer to cover the immigration costs, nor would I ever want that. That's good. That's patriotism right there. I feel like the cost of living needs to be stabilized. Well, yeah, that's true. As that keeps increasing, everything will increase. Inflation is the problem that the United States had, especially under the Biden administration. Now, I'm not blaming Joe Biden for inflation. I'm blaming the Congress of the United States that kept spending money that we don't have. The Democrats and the Republicans were spending money that we don't have, which was driving up the price of goods and services. If I have a credit card. Karina has a credit card. There's a limit on our credit cards. We can't go past a certain limit. The United States used to have a debt limit. What happened to that? We're 34, 35, 36 trillion dollars in debt. It's impossible to pay that money back. How are we going to do that? Cornell Rivers, hello, how are you, Cornell? We are doing good. So we'll give a Mountain Dew salute to Cornell, always. Cornell's always got a happy smile, always checking in, always saying hello, and that's fantastic. Remember, this live stream is going live from Florida. We're here right now. This isn't a video. This is live. If you have questions for me, I'm here to answer them for you. Okay? And don't forget, if you travel, when you're getting ready to leave your home country, don't forget to buy souvenirs. So I bought souvenirs. All these little souvenirs. Okay? In Bogota, Colombia. We bought this in Rakira. If you can see that. Go and buy a bunch of souvenirs. Find space in your suitcase for souvenirs, because you're going to say, because in the future, you're going to say, thank you, Diego, for that idea, because you can go back and look at the memories of I got souvenirs. I got hot plates to put cups on from Bogota, T-shirts, stuff to hang your keys on from Medellin, I believe it was, that you got that from. Buy some souvenirs. Don't forget to do that. Go find a souvenir store and go spend a couple of $100 in there. Help the economy of that lady or family trying to sell souvenirs. Maybe that's their only source of income. Maybe the only way they can put food on the table is by selling stuff like this. So I was with Karina and Karina's sister-in-law, Andrea. We were in Bogota, and they were having a market in the Central Plaza. And I said to Karina, "Go spend a couple of $100 in there." So I don't know, we spent about $300 on souvenirs. That's probably that right there probably covered that lady's living expenses for the next 2 months. I don't know, but for us it was easy. I mean, the economies are different from the United States and Colombia. There's different economies, and it is what it is, right? Get lots of pictures too with your family and friends while you're overseas, because you're going to need those pictures when you apply for the 10-year green card. When you apply for your 10-year green card, you're going to have to prove your. Now listen, when you apply for if you go to renew your 10-year green card using Form I-90, right here, I'll type it in right here. You renew your 10-year green card because you didn't become a citizen yet. You use I-90. They may ask you to show evidence of your relationship when it first started, when you first married. So when Karina and I first started dating in 2021, if Karina's going to be a U.S. citizen by then anyway, but if she has to renew her 10-year green card, they could ask her, you got to go back 10 years and prove the relationship with Diego over the last 10 years. Be ready for that if you decide not to become a citizen. Brownie RSPS question: if you do travel as a 10-year green card holder, it's perfectly fine to do that. Can you go through the customs queue, the customs line, with your U.S. citizen spouse? Yes. When you enter the United States of America on a K-1 visa, when you travel on a 10-year green card, you can go through the U.S. citizenship line as long as your sponsor, your husband or wife that you're married to from America, is with you. When Karina becomes a citizen of the United States, we hope we can go to Venezuela to see our family. We hope that Maduro is in prison or is no longer in Venezuela. We can go to Venezuela and then come back to America after a 2-week vacation. We will travel through the U.S. citizenship line. Well, Karina's going to be a U.S. citizen anyway. But let's suppose Karina and I travel on a 10-year green card, on Karina's 10-year green card. Karina will come through the U.S. citizenship line with me, her husband, as a U.S. citizen. You don't divide families, okay? Airports, they don't like to divide families. So if you're traveling alone as a green card holder, then you have to go to the green card line. But if you're traveling with your husband or wife who's a U.S. citizen and you're a green card holder, you go through the U.S. citizenship line. Okay, Brownie, you got it? I had to translate queue into line because people won't know what a queue is. Thanks, that really is good to know. Well, that's why you're hanging out with us on this channel. You get to learn if you learn something new on this channel today, then I would have achieved my mission with Karina. The mission of this channel is to teach you new stuff. And in 2026, I have got no doubt that the process will get harder and harder and harder for K-1 visas. It's not going to get easier. It's only going to get harder. So if you have not yet filed for your K-1 visa and you have all the evidence that you need to qualify and you qualify for the benefit, I recommend you try to get it in the mail before 2026. You got to trust me. This process is not going to get any easier. Remember, in order to qualify for the K-1 visa, what do you have to do? You have to have met each other, right? At least once, face to face, within 2 years before you file for the K-1 visa. Don't be surprised if that changes, that you have to have been in each other's presence 2 times or 3 times. That could happen. They could change the rules. If you have everything ready to go ahead and get it in the FedEx it and send it off, or UPS it, or DHL it. And also, don't be surprised if you're buying stuff from overseas. Let's suppose you buy something from overseas, and the order you go to Amazon.com and you buy something online, and all of a sudden it gets canceled. That's because of the tariffs. What President Trump's trying to do is he wants people to buy stuff in America. He wants manufacturing to come to the United States, not overseas. He wants Americans to buy cars made in America, not in Canada. So, like I said, when you go overseas to meet somebody, buy everything that it is. You buy the clothes, buy the souvenirs, get everything that you can, stuff it in your suitcase, and bring it to the United States. That way, you're not going to get hit with tariffs. You're not going to be wondering why your Amazon got canceled because you bought something that was being manufactured in communist China. And we don't want to buy stuff from China anymore. We want to buy stuff from America, right? Now, India is buying oil from Russia, so now they've got massive tariffs slapped on India. So if you want to buy some furniture from India or some carpets from India, it's going to be 3 or 4 times the price. Why? Because India is buying oil from Russia. Why are the tariffs so high on India? Because Russia invaded Ukraine. And Trump's been trying to get Putin to stop firing missiles into Ukraine, but it's going to take somebody to stop, right? Somebody's going to have to stop shooting at each other. So I don't even know why it's our business anyway. It's between Russia and Ukraine. Brownie RSPS, it's actually so stupid of India to have done so. Yeah, it's stupid, considering they are still part of the UK Commonwealth. Right. Most people in India can speak English fluently. And most of the schools in India were set up by the British government, I believe, back in the day, right? So in India, they learn Hindi. Is it Hindi? And they speak English perfectly. It doesn't make any sense to me why India would be buying oil from Russia. Why don't they buy oil from the United States? We got plenty of oil we could sell them. We got oil here. We don't need oil from the Middle East. We don't need oil from Venezuela. We don't need oil from Canada. We can buy it right. We got it in our own backyard. They speak Hindi. Yeah, that's what they speak, Hindi and English. So why is India aligning itself with Russia? I mean, that might cause problems in the future for green card and processing and K1 visa applications and tourist visas. I mean, if you're from India and you want to come to America on a work permit, you may be getting a hard time doing that if the Indian government's doing business with Russia. Brownie RSPS, the UK get the oil from the North Sea. Last time I checked, right, in the North Sea. That's right. BP are the ones that drill the oil in the North Sea. The British are independent. They're oil independent. British Petroleum is where they get, the British were the ones actually that found oil in Iraq. Back in the early 1900s, the British found oil in Iraq, set up the oil rigs, drilled for the oil, and started to become a rich country. I don't know what happened to England, man. It's just, I don't know. It is what it is, right? When politics around the world start to get unhinged, it affects K1 visas and green card processing. When there's problems in Venezuela, you can't get a K1 visa in Venezuela. You have to come to Colombia. So the Venezuelans have to get on a freaking plane and fly to Bogota, set the appointment, stay in a hotel in Bogota, right? Why? Because they got a communist dictator running the country. And then Petro's is worse than Maduro, actually. Petro spent time in jail in Bogota, Colombia for being a terrorist. It's crazy. Brownie RSPS, I can't even fly the Union Jack in the UK anymore. That is crazy. I think, you can't fly the Union Jack. You can't fly this. Isn't it the St. George's flag? Isn't the Union Jack a combination of the Scottish flag and the British flag? St. George is the cross, the red cross, right, with the white background. And then Scotland has the blue background. So the Union Jack is a combination of England, Scotland, and Wales, basically. And then there were, people flying the St. George's flag in England, and the government was fining people for even flying it in their yard. It's insane. Yeah, it's what represents the union of Britain, Wales, and Scotland. Yeah, I've learned a lot. I've been around a long time. I learned a lot in the amount of years I've been on this planet. I've learned a lot about different countries. Australia even has the British flag on their flag. New Zealand, I don't know. You know, but immigration is getting more difficult each day. In August, immigration changed totally. New rules for everything. Brownie RSPS, I wouldn't dare come to the USA and say you can't fly that flag. No, you get in trouble. You have a big problem. If you told an American he can't fly, if the U.S. government told an American you cannot fly the U.S. flag here, that member of that part of that government would have a very bad day. Remember, in the United States of America, we are a republic. The government works for us. We don't work for them. You got to remember that. It would appear that in the United Kingdom right now, the citizens no longer have freedom of speech and they work for the British government. Now, I just said that on YouTube Live. Now the British government's probably going to ban me from entering England because I said that. That's censorship, right? Doesn't in America, in the Biden administration, there was a lot of censorship going on in Facebook, Instagram. If you said something that offended Biden, Facebook would shut you down. That's why I don't even waste my time on Facebook. But in America, you have a First Amendment right to speak your mind and say what's on your mind. It's called the First Amendment. The founding fathers put that together and signed it into law. Okay? And we became independent from England back in 1776. The United States became its own country, July 4th. It was actually, that wasn't the exact correct date, but that's the date we go with. And you don't, and Brownie RSPS, you don't ever want to wish somebody a happy July 4th. July 4th, next summer, you don't say happy July 4th, you say happy Independence Day. Brownie, it is censorship. Yeah, in England, you cannot speak out anymore. You get put in prison for speaking your mind in England. That's not the England that used to be 30 years ago, right? Brownie RSPS, there's a few digital firms that are right now suing Ofcom. What's Ofcom? Is that like a British Communications? For trying to fine the American firms under UK law, Online Safety Act of 2023. What is the Online Safety Act? If somebody's offended by what you say, then they're the problem, not the person saying whatever. If somebody says something to me that, well, I don't like you, Diego, you whatever, blah, 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 middle finger, what? I'm like, okay, you can say that if you want. You have a right in this country to say that. Am I offended? No, nothing offends me. Nothing bothers me. People don't offend me, okay? Because it's their low IQ. That's the problem. In America, you can call people names, and if they get offended by it, send them a box of tissues. But in England, if you say something that offends somebody, you can go to prison. That's not freedom at all. So Brownie RSPS, I bet you are very glad that you are living in America now and not living in England, although you probably miss the fish and chips. Right, yeah, Ofcom are basically regulators like the FCC. So Ofcom are the regulators, so they're the censorship police for television, radio, etc. in the United Kingdom. They're the censorship police. The FCC is the same thing, the Federal Communications Commission. Okay, but what the FCC does, it basically makes sure that you don't threaten anybody publicly. If you go on YouTube and threaten somebody, number one, the YouTube channel gets shut down, and the FCC would step in and maybe go after YouTube or whatever. That's why there's so many rules. There are some things that you cannot do. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you can go yell fire in a movie theater. You can get prosecuted for that because it creates fear and intimidation in somebody. It's a threat. So you can't threaten people. But basically, in America, if you don't like something, you say, if somebody doesn't like me and they say, "Oh, Diego, you're this, 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 and this," I'm like, okay. That's fine. You have a right to say that. It's a free country. I'm not going to get offended. Doesn't bother me. If you like me and you say all good things about me, I appreciate that. And if you don't like me and say bad things about me, I respect your right to do that as an American or as a green card holder. Okay? There you go. It's all good. Living in America is great. Differences of opinions, different political parties, but you got to learn it. Remember, you want to focus on becoming a citizen when you get to this country. Become a U.S. citizen, get a U.S. passport. Then, if you want to go to Australia and spend 6 months with your mom, you can do that without worrying about getting blocked from re-entering the United States. I hear a cat crying at the door. I think, is that Riddy? Mi amor? So I think we're going to have to let the cat in, or Riddy's going to be crying like a baby for the whole rest of this live stream. We love our cats. We got 2 cats. Veni, named after Venezuela. Veni Cara is Venezuela, Caracas. And then there's Riddy. Riddy's another cat we adopted from another town in Florida. Come here, Riddy. Jump up on Mama. Riddy's a real affectionate cat. Like 2 o'clock in the morning, she'll start licking my face, wants to play. I mean, affectionate, I tell you. Here she is. She wants some affection. There's Riddy, right here. She's a big cat, right? And she got a little white belly right here. Now, Vinny is Russian blue color. I didn't know what the color was, and the lady we bought this cat from, adopted this cat from, she saw a picture of Vinny in my phone, in Karina's phone, and she said, that's Russian blue. I said, oh, okay, I never knew that. You got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the green card process, the K-1 visa process is not going to get any easier, and it's going to get more expensive. And I think you're going to find the rules are going to change in the future. Instead of meeting each other one time, you're going to have to meet each other twice and spend a minimum of 6 months together. So that's going to be hard to do if you're working a full-time job, right? I was lucky. I was a real estate agent, so I could take off whenever I wanted to. I told my boss, I'm going to be in Colombia. I don't know how long I'm going to be there. Okay, no worries. If you're putting together a K-1 visa application, make sure you got plenty of evidence of your relationship. 20 to 30 to 40 pictures. Identify who's in the picture, where the picture was taken, and when. Don't focus on selfies. Selfies are irrelevant. Immigration toss selfies away aside. They're irrelevant. They want to see pictures with family and friends. I was in Colombia. I got pictures with Karina's brothers, her nieces, now my nieces, my nephews, all these pictures. We got everything done pretty quick. Karina's K-1 visa interview was November 16th of 2023. Her NOA-1 letter was dated, I believe it was May of 2022, somewhere in there. Got to remember. We've been through this too. We've been through the K-1 visa process. We've been through the green card process. We're going to go through the 10-year green card process and then the U.S. citizenship. And the channel hasn't gone away. Lots of folks, they put a YouTube channel together to talk about their processing of their case. And then when they get their green card, they disappear from YouTube. Where'd they go? We're still here. We didn't abandon you guys. Brownie RSPS. We had 4 pictures per piece of A4 paper. And we had like 10 to 20 pages. There you go. Wrote on the back of each photo and sent that along with the restaurant receipts paper clipped on the separate photos to support those. That's good, but I don't recommend anybody use paper clips when you submit a K-1 visa application. Don't use paper clips. Don't use binder clips. It slows down the processing for your K-1 visa. Immigration is going to have to pull the clips off the paperwork because they scan the pictures. So when you submit pictures for your K-1 visa application, don't paperclip them together. Don't use binder clips, okay? And now Riddy is looking at my Race to Which Mountain poster. She's like, what does she's just sticking her nose up at it? It's okay, Brownie. You got through it. You did good. But what it does, it slows down the process. When immigration get a package of documents and they're all paper clipped together with all these binder clips, they have to stop and pull off all the paper clips, pull off the binder clips. It adds maybe, it just slows down the whole process. The best way to submit a K-1 visa application or a green card application is in a binder from Office Depot or Walmart and document protectors. They open the document. They can use the document protectors as a book. It's a book. They look through everything, and then they pull out the stuff they need from the document protectors. And then that way, your paperwork is protected when it sits at USCIS. That's the way to do it. So Brownie RSPS says, whoopsie, don't worry about it. You got it done. Now you're just waiting on the RFE. Brownie, I only just found out about the selective service thing. Luckily, I'm 29. You're good. Now you don't even have to apply. You're over age 25. It doesn't apply to you. Wouldn't have any idea though. Well, if you are aged between 18 and 25 and you are a male and you come into America on a K-1 or a K-2 visa, if you're aged between 18 and 25, it is mandatory that you apply for selective service. You can register online. I made a video about it just today, I think. If you don't register for selective service and you are a male between 18 and 25, you're going to have a heck of a job trying to become a U.S. citizen. When you apply for U.S. citizenship, the questionnaire asks you, did you register for selective service? It's one of the questions on the N400. And you're going to say no. And then you're going to have to explain why you didn't do it. And then you're going to be denied your U.S. citizenship. And then they're going to say, check back in 3 years. So then you got to wait another 3 years and then reapply for U.S. citizenship. So it's going to take you 6 years to become a citizen. But if you come to America and you're 26, 27, 28 years old, then you don't have to worry about it. You're above the age limit. So Brownie, you are good to go. Did you ever think about joining the British military? I don't know. The Royal Marines, the Royal Navy. That might have been interesting. But I don't know. But we're glad you're in America now. You're in Missouri. You're waiting on your green card. You're going to get the RFE cleaned up. You're going to get that processed, and then you'll be good to go. That's the whole thing. And now in Missouri, don't you have the big archway, in St. Louis, the archway, right? Go check that out. Brownie RSPS. I was in the Army Cadets until I was 18. I learned how to fire the good old SA-80 rifle. There you go. Yeah. So you were in the Army Cadets. That's great. Good job. They also have the ATC. What is it called? The Air Training Corps. Also, they have the Army Cadets and they have the Air Training Corps, the ATC. Right? I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I learned a lot in my years on this planet. Travel around the world. I've been around the world. I do want to take Karina to the Philippines. I want to take her, obviously, to Venezuela. If all of Karina's family leave Colombia and relocate to Venezuela, then there's no reason for us to go to Colombia. We'll be taking our vacations to Venezuela. Brownie, yeah, I think it's called the RAFAC now. Okay, but I think it used to be called the ATC. Was it the ATC? The Air Training Corps. And then there's squadron after it. Something like that. I don't know. But good job on your service in the country. I want to take Karina to Venezuela. I want to take her to the Philippines. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Australia. But what the heck is there to do in Australia? What is there to do? Look at the Sydney Opera House? I mean, how you can do that online, right? I mean, Australia I'm sure is a beautiful country. But what is there to do there? I don't know. In the Philippines, you can go swim with whales in Cebu. That has to be something fun to do. Brownie, yeah, the ATC is a branch of the RAFAC. You just looked it up. Okay. So when you're a young child, you join the ATC, and then you graduate to the RAFAC. Then you join the Air Force, the Royal Air Force. Then you go learn how to fly planes. Or join the Royal Navy, join the Royal Marines. I don't know. But the United States military, when I was in the Navy, I worked with the Royal Navy. We got along. The U.S. Navy and the Royal Navy get along great. We're all like buddies. I did 20 years in the Navy, and I got to work with the Royal Navy. I got to work with other countries I can't mention. It was great. So it's today's Saturday. It's the weekend. I've been talking for almost an hour. Hopefully you guys learned something new today about immigration, green cards, new forms, photos, etc. And I'll be back for another live stream on Monday, right? That's Labor Day. That's a holiday, right? Brownie RSPS. I remember being woken up on reconnaissance in the field at 3 o'clock in the morning by blanks being fired. Was an experience. I bet that was. I bet you gave some blank expressions back. Blankety blank, blank, blank. Thank you, Diego. Okay, Brownie. And Brownie, thanks for being a member of the channel. Maru and folks and everybody here who's a member, thank you for being a member of the channel. Don't forget, don't be shy to call me, text me, and email me if you have any questions. You don't have to wait for a live stream. If you are a member of this channel, you don't have to wait to join a live stream to contact me. You can contact me anytime. If you have an immigration emergency, you can call me, text me, and I'll get on it for you right away. Okay? We'll see you on Monday, Labor Day, and have a great rest of the weekend.